Hi, it's Josh Rubin with the Rubin team. Let's take a look. All right, I believe we're live here on the Rubin Special with my friend Jacquie Othen, the great dynamo real estate professional of Toronto. Jacquie, how you doing up there?
I'm great. How are you? I will have a Rubin Special, extra pickles.
I appreciate that. I'll have to let my friend and chef Ari Foreman know, because he is the marketing genius that came up with the concept. And so I've known Ari a long time, and he'll appreciate that compliment, no doubt.
Thank you. How you doing?
So I'm doing well today, and I'm coming from my beautiful car because I promised my daughter that I would take her to the DMV today. So it's a very special day for Sarah Rubes getting her driver's license. So
she better pass. She better pass.
She already passed. We're just doing the paperwork now. So
nice.
But
nice.
I'll let you in on a hint. She didn't pass the first time. So what do you think about that?
I think her dad's still going to buy her a car.
you may be onto something there, Jacquie, and you're a bad influence on me. So, but Jacquie, how are you finding this crazy market? 1 minute it's up, the next minute it's down. Rates are all over the place. They've come up at a dramatic level over the last 6 months, and it's given people some pause. But here in New York City, we're not really seeing much of a slowdown.
It's been adjusting here since the spring, and I think it's not so much the rates that are bothering me personally here, but I think that they are tough for people to swallow. We had 1.25, 1.15 in the spring, and I think buyers are just taking their time, and it's giving people an opportunity to sit on the fence a little bit longer. But we've seen an adjustment all summer, so this is no surprise. I do think that we are going to set up for a roaring 2023. If that's the only thing I'm thinking about right now at this point in time in the market, is where is this going to go? And I know that we are going to knock the socks off of 2023. I think there's so much pent up demand, but there's still a major shortage of housing here.
That's interesting that you bring up inventory levels, because we're seeing the same thing. Inventory has not been climbing, as if we're in a very high uncertainty market. So as long as we have inventory levels stable and low, then people are still going to need a place to live. And as long as they're sitting on the sidelines, they're all going to get back into the water when it's clear. And I think you're right. The first quarter of 2023, I think we're going to see things go gangbusters once again.
I do. And I think part of it will be a lot of economic uncertainty. I think there are a lot of families who are going through their own turmoil, whether it's financial or just the relationships are on fire. I have a good friend who's an attorney for family law, and every year after the holidays, till the end of January, things start to pop up. I think it's going to be the same. I think people are clinging on. If things are difficult for them financially, they're going to hold out till the end of the year. But yes, everyone's going to come out at the same time next year. I don't know if it's going to be mid-February or March, but I do think we'll see more inventory and fresh. We still have old inventory from the summertime. Wow. Crazy. Old, stale inventory. So that'll get washed out at the end of the year.
Yeah. And so you think that, that ultimately is going to see price adjustments and ultimately get picked off, yeah?
I do. I think we're probably going to live with these prices, this adjusted price market for a couple of years, like whether we want to say we're in a recession now, which I believe we are and have been for some time. But if there's a formal announcement from our governments here in January to really further depress the market, I think the cycles are about 18 months before things really pick up steam. So I was just saying, one of my team members, 2025 is going to get very expensive. So I think if anyone is thinking of buying this fall, once we have another interest rate announcement coming later this month, once that happens, the market will slump further. But I think for smart, savvy, long-term investors, it's a good time to pick some stuff up if you can find something. And I think real estate, just on the whole, I've been at this for 12 years. I have not seen people make bad decisions in real estate unless they were buying for a very short haul. Really, if you're buying for a 2-year plan, well, this is not necessarily time. And I don't know a market that is good for that. It's like the stock market run up right? If you're trying to catch the market, it's like trying to catch a falling knife at times. But if someone is buying with a 5-year plan or 7-year or even 3 to 4, I'm super bullish on a 3 to 4 year target.
Yeah.
But I haven't lost money in real estate except in my divorce when I had to sell in a recession, and that was not by my choice.
Yeah. So it was forced by the courts, of course. I mean, so you can't time that, right? It's just, it is what it is, and you got to roll with the punches and move forward. But, tell us a little bit about sort of how you got into the business 12 years ago and what made you make that transition.
So I worked for a television broadcaster, one of the biggest here, in finance. And I went on a surprise mat leave. My youngest was born very early. So I had no issue. I had to be in one day and not be in the next day. And while I was off, the company was bought. It merged with another major competitor, and they ended up merging my department with another person who took over my team. And honestly, it was the best thing in that moment. When you're in Toronto, in Ontario, you get a huge mat leave. So you get a year. I'd lined up a nanny. I was like, okay, I'll only take 3-4 months off. And then I found out just before my return that my position was no longer one that existed and had been merged with another department. But my plan was to go back after mat leave, take a year, 2 years, do the courses and get into it. But I was forced into it. So I got my license in, I think it was 90 days. And that was it. I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to make money. I left a very high paying position. I left a very comfortable 9-to-5 job that I could do with my eyes closed, and invested in myself.
Wow. And how did you choose real estate as a sort of second career?
Well, my late dad, I didn't really choose it for myself. My dad, no matter what wonderful accomplishment I got through corporate life, I was awarded 1 year, 1,000 stock options, which were phenomenal at 24, 25. I was a director by 26, 27. My dad was like, oh, that's not, I don't care about your 30 or 40 or $50,000 bonus. He's like, I don't care about your stock options. He's like, go and work for yourself, go into real estate. So they used to be printers, my mom and dad, for Remax and Royal LePage, which is a brand here. And, new immigrants, they were watching all of these people that they serve come in all dressed up and hair done and this. And my dad was like, don't go into, printing like your mom and I. He's like, it's messy work. He's like, go and be a realtor. So every time I called to say, Dad, I got a bonus or I got a promotion, he was like, I don't give a shit. Oops. He's like, I don't care. He's like, go into real estate. And so finally, I think it wore on me. And I had a few people say, you really know how to take care of the small details. You do well. Honestly, the flexible hours, that's a lie. Unlimited income and the potential to earn a really a well sought after living that everybody looks at and thinks. I mean, it was a wonderful decision I made. It came at the cost of raising kids when they were young, for sure. But I wish if I could listen to my father's advice 10 years earlier than he gave it, I wish I'd started real estate much, much earlier.
Wow. So you think that,
he was right. I was wrong.
You listened to your father a little late, and you're sort of in this comfortable position, and so you waited, 10 years too long, and you wish that you'd gotten into it, 20 plus years, rather than almost like a forced transition because you're the victim of a layoff.
I think so, because I look at what I've done in 10, 11, this is my 11th, almost 12th year, and I look at what I've done in 11 years, and I'm really surprised. I've worked very hard. I knew it was possible, but I didn't know that I would hit the strides in my career that I did and the accomplishments I did. So yeah, I would have loved to start 10 years earlier.
Wow. And what do you owe your success to in today's market?
For my business specifically?
Yeah.
I guess I'll just put it plainly. We do a lot for our clients here. I'm very heavy invested in relationships with people. And I'm quite the introvert in my personal and private life. But when it comes to this business, I have always been super caretaking with clients. I've enjoyed their company, their relationships. I've said no to clients that I thought were not a good fit for me, or that, I wouldn't care to spend time with. I've built very, very, very close relationships with clients by either investing in their homes to get them ready for sale, or investing in them personally. Dinner outs, my gosh, I have so many dinners in my calendars, which has made it hard to stay close to my ideal weight in last 10 years. But I know their kids. I know their kids' kids. I have a huge senior population of clients that I take care of, and I love them, and I see them often. My touches are very high. I see most clients on average of, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 times a year. Some people I see every 3 weeks.
Yeah. So I think it's fair to say, based on your description, that you're transcending the relationship from business to personal, and you're getting very deep into their lives. It's not just a transaction or a business relationship.
I would say that that's exactly true, which is
Yeah.
why I attract clients, that I like, because I know that they'll be good fits and I'll be happy to stay in touch with them.
Yeah. And has that ever gone sideways?
No, touch wood, don't jinx it. No, it's been amazing. But I cut out, I start almost every single client relationship with a meal, with a coffee, a breakfast, a lunch, and dinner. And I do that because I can weed out crazy people, or I can meet someone and it's or it's a couple. I'm like, these guys are fighting. And I'm like, they're not going to be a good fit. They're going to drain me. They're not going to last. I'm not selling them something, because in a year and a half, and I've seen it. I had clients early on that were like that. So I'm looking for the best possible fit. I'm looking for people who listen to me, who will, give me straight. And I'll say to clients, the more honest you can be with me, the better I can help you. But at the same point in time, when it's sellers, I tell clients, I say it over and over and over again, and it's the truth. I'm not for everyone. I'm not. My personality is not for everyone. I'm like you. I'm super brutally honest. I'm upfront. I'm blunt. I am a bit of a blunt force instrument. You hire me when you want to get to market, want to get the highest and best price possible. But I've got really high expectations on how my listings show. And if you want my team to go to work for you, then I need to know that you're fully committed. And so when people hear that, they're like, what does that mean? I'm like, are you going to do everything, with me to get your home ready? And if people are like, I'm not sure. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm not the person for you, because you're just going to sit on the market. So I don't mind it. I think my personality has changed, having worked for myself, and I've become more direct over the years as I've seen, other people fail, and I see people take listings, and I'm like, I don't just want to take listings. I want to sell people's homes and get them through to the other side. So I think being upfront is crucial.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to be honest with people, and sometimes it's at the risk of losing the business. But if people want to, live in a sort of a false sense of reality and coming on the market at levels that are not attainable, it's better to wait and be the second or third broker. What do they say? It's better to be the something about the second husband and the third child and the fourth broker, or something like. There's some saying like that. You might know what I'm talking about, Jacquie.
Yes, I do. And yes, you're exactly right. I'd rather come in and win the race or help them succeed at the end. And it's not because they're tired, because some people will say, oh, they'll be tired by then. And it's like, no. By then they're committed. By then they really need to get to the other side, and they're willing to do what it takes. I prefer to take people, and help sell their homes and help make their real estate needs a reality from the get-go. But again, I'm okay with people saying, she's too much for me, she's not my realtor, because I want people who are committed. And it's funny, because I serve a lot of seniors, a lot of them, and some of them are the most committed people, because they're like, we don't want to do all this work, but her path to success in the process makes sense, and we don't have time to waste, and we don't want a million people through the house, and we want to get it going. So I've been very fortunate. Usually I'm a good fit, but sometimes I'm like, I'm just not for you. I'm happy to say that to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it's better to be honest. Now, Jacquie, can you tell us a little bit about your listing presentation?
Yes, sure. I have it behind me. You want to hang on?
Yeah, absolutely. Take your time.
I know we'd be talking about this, but I have it. It was
guys. Jackie's listing presentation is legendary.
You want to laugh? So I had no business. I was at a small boutique firm. I spent literally 2 years perfecting this damn thing. And everybody would laugh at me. And my mentor used to say, that's okay. He's like, they're laughing at you, or, they're just jealous. He's like, but in a year or two, he's like, they'll work for you. So I won't go through them, but this is it. Basically, all of the services that we provide to clients. And I always start with education. So it's about 34 presentation slides. And the one thing I'm very humbled about is after the Tom Ferry Summit, I had people that reached out to me to get them. And I had someone say, well, why are you sharing them so freely? I know, like in anything, we can talk about it here today or anywhere else. 9 out of 10 people will hear it, will go, that's awesome. And they won't actually implement. So I have no problem sharing. But I deliver my presentation in an organized chronological order. I start with education about the market. I talk about the difference between a pocket listing or an exclusive listing, because I know that people go in there and go, I'm going to take your listing as an exclusive. And I used to go in there and go, well, I'm going to put you on MLS, and the client would be super confused, or they'd sign an exclusive because they thought it was, less work for them, or that someone was just going to bring a buyer to their house and match them up. So I flush out all of the things that a consumer might hear from another realtor that they think is good for them, but I basically flip it on its side throughout the entire presentation. And that has to do with photography, videography, staging, floor plans. I talk about sometimes why we do a pre-list inspection for a home seller versus why we don't, the liability that goes with it. But I'm brutally honest everywhere throughout the presentation. And sometimes clients will say, well, we heard this. And I'll say, okay, so are you asking me to confirm that that's true, or did you want an honest opinion? And they're like, the honest opinion. So then I'll deep dive into it. But the reason I've done these slides is because it's far easier to illustrate to a consumer what services I'm providing. And I can stack them up across a dining room table or a kitchen table or your patio, wherever it is that we're sitting. And you can see what I provide. And I also bring along marketing from competitors in their neighborhood. And I show them what my marketing looks like versus what someone else's looks like. And then I don't have to say, like, this is what I do, and this is the crap that someone else does, because I just show them. I'll say, this is what we do. These are what the people in your local market that we're competing with do. And then the client can see for themselves.
That's amazing. I saw you sort of present this in an informal manner a few years ago at an event that we were at together. And I was so blown away by these slides, because I feel many people am more of a visual person than, just having described to me. So here you're able to literally back up your words with proof. You're showing up with evidence. Like a good attorney going to court, you're actually showing up with evidence of what you do and what others do. And so you're saying, don't just take my word for it, Mrs. Seller, but, here's the proof that's in the pudding. And then you can actually back that up with the results and say, here's an example of a property that, was on the market before with terrible photos and floor plans. We came in with these floor plans and these photos, and we got results.
Yes, and that's the whole thing. I'm like you. I'm a visual learner, but I'm also tactile. So I like to touch things. I like to see things. And I need to be able to hold something for me to make the connection between what the person is saying. So I'm not a fan of these PowerPoint presentations or iPads, but I do incorporate technology so that I can go, here, this is what your website through us looks like, versus here's somebody else's photo tour it's just a flipogram. And I'm like, no, my virtual tour looks like this. But I've done it this way because I'm not salesy. I've never been salesy, and I didn't come from a sales background. So it was so much easier it's like a dinner party. It's like sometimes you go to a friend's house, it's potluck. Another time you go to someone's house and they cook a meal, but they're not the best cook. But then you go to a friend's house who's an amazing cook, who's got the, linens and dinner napkins and everything that goes with it, and the glass. Like, that was the type of dinner party that I used to host for years. And I had friends say, like, it's all those little details that go into how you do things when you're having a party at your house that would translate into great real estate. And I was like, well, how so? And they're like, because you're going to take people to really nice dinners. You're going to take the time to get to know them. Afterwards, you're sending handwritten thank you cards. Then you're doing a video update. Then you're doing this. And I was like, yeah, but our real estate listing presentation had to mirror that same, so that they could see from point A to point Z, literally, what is she doing and what is she doing at every turn. And all of our marketing, the slides, all of them, they look the same. Because everything we do, whether it's cleaning clients' houses, painting, staging, decluttering, every professional that I work with in the industry, they're all AAA. So I don't work with C's, and I tell clients that, like, I'm going to introduce you to the best photographer and the best videographer. I have the best home inspector, because it's taken me a decade to build this group, and they're amazing. And they're amazing. Yeah. And I use them because they're trusted trades.
Yeah. I love that. Trusted trades. we do our best to come up with the same. We come up with, the A players in order to make sure that the process from start to finish is as good as it possibly can be. And so, we've worked with cleaning people, and we've worked with cleaning people who weren't so great, and we've worked with those who are really good, they're reliable, etc. And a large part of what we do, like you guys up in Toronto, is helping people with the pre-listing part of the process. And so many sellers think that we're just turning on the lights and opening the door, and presto, it's done. And there is so much that goes into this process before the public even knows that the home is on the market. And so much of it is, in the details, like you said, Jackie. It's the cleaning, it's the staging and the presentation and the professional photos and the videography and the floor plans and the detailed description. And, like you, we take a lot of pride in and ownership in that part of the process. But I know that you got into staging a few years ago. And what inspired you to do that?
Oh gosh. So from very early on, we were staging our listings, and we had these storage lockers, and it went from storage lockers to 3 to 7 to 15. And then my husband went in for surgery one year. And when he was waking up out of surgery, I threw a bomb at him and I said, hey, we're going to lease this space. We're going to pick up this warehouse because we're just bursting at the seams. So I think it was just, number one, we had too much stuff. We started from maybe $10,000 of inventory to what became very quickly 100,000 to 200,000. We're pushing well over, I'm going to say, $1 million to an inventory, probably much more than that. But yeah, it's a monster. It's a business of its own. My husband left his job in finance. He had a very respectable job downtown. And I basically begged him to come and run it because I couldn't run both. But so the staging company has become an independent company from the real estate, and it serves agents across the city here. And it also works for us in-house. So it was a beast to get it running, but it's been an incredibly vital business because we are very unique. And one of the biggest value propositions with working with us is from the moment I sign a contract with a client or shake someone's hands, they have staging for as long as they need to actually get their home sold. And if anyone's listening to this and they're like, oh, I can do that, it's not easy to repeat that or scale a model like that, but we've been able to do it, and it's taken us a decade. But
now I have to ask you, Jackie,
yeah.
Are you charging for the service? Is it an ancillary business?
No, it's we don't charge for it. It's part of our commission structure. And we tell clients that we don't just provide a staging consultation, we provide full service staging. And I mean like full service to the point that if clients are living in it, we put brand new linens on for them. And the staging stays intact right up until their property is appraised by an appraiser on behalf of a bank, which can be a month after. So if it takes 6 months to sell a $5 million house, that staging is staying in place. And I go through, why that's a benefit to them, because there are homes in Toronto that get staged for a month and then the renewal is due and the agent can't afford the renewal or the seller doesn't want to pay the renewal. So our stuff literally goes in and stays until the property is sold and appraised.
Got it. So there's no charge for the service at all from the beginning to the end.
No, and I should probably change that because I know that there is room there to go up 1% or more. We just haven't done it because we have another revenue stream by being able to put the staging stuff out for other clients. But there's definitely money that's being left on the table, I would say.
Huh. And so how did you make the transition from staging your own listings to working for other realtors in the city?
So we chatted about my husband leaving his job. And I said, if you're going to leave the job, we can't just be doing our own listings. We have to be able to take this company and this, almost 10,000 square foot warehouse that we have and make it an actual business that is profitable and serves other agents. And the other part of it is an inventory problem. It doesn't matter how much space you have in the staging world. You're always going to be at the point when if everything were to come back, you would not have any room to put it. I have a friend of mine in the States similar to us who does the same, but she's always cycling it through properties. But we always thought worst case scenario, if there's nobody staging anything in a given month, which has never happened, touch wood, where would $1.2 million of like we've got enough to do probably 35 homes fully head to toe. And I don't mean, people think of it as rooms, but this is literally every single detail. Lamps, rugs, art, plants, real plants, not real plants, outdoor furniture, literally chandeliers, everything that you could think of.
Yeah. Wow, that's remarkable. So now you have a 10,000, did you say 10,000 square foot warehouse?
Just about 10,000 square feet. And we are massively out of space. Yeah. Yeah.
And so now that you're doing it for other realtors, what's the revenue on something like that?
So he's close to $1 million business on his own right now, which is wonderful. The reality is we're at a point right now where he needs to be able to double up space. And the question is whether it's more important to grow the real estate business or it's more important to grow the staging business. And I think for me, my passion is in the real estate business. And if I could somehow pull back the staging and just make it in-house, it's just become such a beast that, we're probably going to have to scale both together in the next 5 years. And it's difficult. It's difficult.
Yeah. How many employees do you have?
So he's got 9 for the staging company. And for me here in the front, I've got a marketing person and I've got a client care, basically like a personal assistant that I work with.
Yeah.
But in the back, it's a huge operation in the back. And I say in the back because we are in one space. So when clients say, staging or what have you, like I get to literally walk through every client's home concept here.
Yeah.
I leave my office, I leave the real estate team and I go to the back and I view every single room before it's gone out to a client's house for installation.
So Jackie, are you the lead designer of the staging business?
No. So I was for many years and I've trained the ladies that run it now. And they would all argue that I'm probably their worst client because for other agents, they get to put whatever they want. But when it comes to, and I tell clients this at the listing presentation, like my staged listings look better than any of them because I'm heavily involved in the creative, which doesn't take away from the real estate business, but it's literally a half a day that I've spent working with the designers hand in hand, picking art, and or ensuring that for my clients' homes, if we need a lighting plan, we have one. At my listings, unlike other staging clients, when you walk into my listings in the wintertime or in the summertime, when it gets dark outside, every timer in a lamp goes on automatically. So there's no agent running around to like find lights, set the mood.
Right.
Everything is taken care of. If I want really nice plugins put in, the team is doing them. If the carpets need any kind of steam cleaning, I send a steam cleaner. Like everything for me, it's a show, right? The curtains get hung, the lights get changed. It's different than other staging clients who may just get some furniture in a room and some art hung. For us, it's far more involved.
Yeah. Wow. No one is really doing that in our market. There are people who have the storage unit who, they'll come in and they'll sort of judge a listing, with some accessories and, but really staging is its own thing. And we bring in professional staging consultants. And so what I decided to do was I was getting a lot of pushback from our clients just in terms of the cost of staging. And so people in our market are more clinical by nature, and not a lot of them have experience with staging. So when I bring in a professional staging consultant, they would give us estimates or proposals of these projects costing, $20, $30, $40 or more $1,000. And so people were saying, Josh, I'm not so sure. And so what I decided to do was get together with my wife, Kathy, and buy inventory like you, have it on hand, and be able to stage their homes. And we're able to do it at cost. So I'm not going to come out of pocket for the staging services, but I'll charge them just what it costs us to stage the apartment. And like you, we'll just leave it in place rather than the typical staging model, which is to charge an upfront fee that locks them in for 3 or 6 months. And then it goes on a sort of a monthly rental that is less than that initial upfront cost, but it becomes much more affordable and just as effective. But it's a lot of work, I have to tell you.
Yeah, but if I walk a client through what someone else's listing looks like versus one of my clients, like it's just there's no difference. And for us here, the way staging works in Toronto is it's usually for a 4-week plan that you'll pay, and then the extensions happen from there. So as long as clients can maintain it, honestly, I mean, you can go online and look at what our stuff looks like. It's pretty exceptional, but it's because I obsess. Like I just want to make sure that it's like the dinner party, right? That people come
Right.
in
The
and
details.
it's every freaking room. And then they go to open the fridge and it's like, it's not gross and greasy. It's spotless and it's been spick and span. Like we do a lot, but organically there's so much referral business that comes out of it because people recognize the amount of work we put into getting their homes ready.
Yeah, it's a white glove experience. So it just makes sense.
Yep.
So Jackie, over the years, I mean, there have been a lot of ups and downs. You've been doing this now almost 12 years, you said. And so I guess you were getting into it as the market was just picking up after that, the sort of global recession following 2008 and 9. Have you had any sort of big macro challenges in your business?
I think as a team leader, there's different challenges that we face as solo agents. I think the biggest challenge is to keep your head in the game and stay focused because like in any business that you're self-employed, it's very difficult because it's me. I'm every single day waking up with this desire and interest to grow my business, to keep it moving, to make sure that clients are taken care of. But there's so many wheels to turn. But I think the biggest challenge is just trying to keep your head positive and stay focused because none of these ups and downs really at this point, they don't bother me. There's been a period of time where it's been slow for a couple of weeks. And my husband always says to me, he's like, don't ever complain about being slow because I know when you're, burning at all ends and you can't breathe, you're like, I wish it would just slow down. So I know that any cycle that, goes down doesn't stay down for very long. But I think the challenge is to keep ourselves in a positive headspace to be able to continue to grow, because I think that's what happens. I see a lot of agents, there's self-doubt comes in, all these, dark voices or these financial worries, and they're not smart with their money when they're making money. So then before you know it, it's a tailspin and they're out of the business because they can't financially continue to work through these ups and downs.
Yeah, it's important to continue to fight and stay in a positive mindset. Otherwise, like you said, you're going to work yourself into this death spiral. And, it's really important to stay positive. Are there any specific tips that you can share to enable people to stay in that positive mindset?
I think reading for me has been a big one. Reading books about motivation or to learn new things. And we both know Tom Ferry. So there's always a really amazing reading list that's given to us. I think that is important. But I think for me, the schedule is the most important thing, because if I have a day and my day is cut into 10 different categories, whether it's now going to the gym, coming in and making my phone calls, prospecting, dinner with a client, if I'm doing everything on that schedule, I don't want to say there's no time to worry. There really isn't, because I'm stopping one thing, starting something else, and I'm doing things that I know in the back of my mind either are productive for the business or income producing. And if they're not income producing right away, that's okay. That's the cycle of this business, but at least I'm kept busy with action as opposed to self-doubt or worry creeping in and taking over. I think that's the problem I had in the first couple of years in the industry, which a lot of new agents face, is you're just stuck in that wheel of you don't know what to do. Your day is a mess. You're making some calls and you're going out shopping, or you're buying a coffee, you're just milling around. You don't have structure. So I think schedule and structure is the most important thing when things either slow down or when you're just starting in the industry.
Yeah. Have a daily routine, right?
Big time.
And just keep yourself active so that you can't stop to think about, all of the doubt. There's doubt in everything. Right?
Yes. And the action just by virtue will create momentum. I find this couple of weeks have been very slow, and I've been so delighted. I'm seeing clients for dinners and I'm not sitting there counting how that's going to translate into business. I'm just looking to make personal connections with people. And then by default, people are thinking about you or they value that you're it's not a really great time to buy right now, but I'm telling you in 4 weeks when I call you to say, get into the market, you got to be ready to follow my advice. So that for me, I think without the personal connection, this business would be a little nutty for me. And I know not everybody runs their business in that way, but for me, it's not the friendships and it's not all that. It's just the actually knowing that I'm making a difference in people's lives and that I have good people in my business. It's everything.
Sure. I think that makes a lot of sense. So Jackie, I'm curious, given all of your experience in the ups and downs and, the staging business, is there one transaction, one deal that sort of stands out as, the most exciting or craziest deal that you've done?
The most exciting. I would say craziest. Oh my God, we've had some crazy. We'll talk about the crazy one first. Yeah, I was invited a couple of years ago to go in and sell this house. And, our team used to joke that, the shittier the house, the worse condition it's in, the best, like it's Jacquie's thing. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's not true. That's not true. But oh my gosh, there was a crazy house where a tree was growing through a deck. They'd had some weird ritual in the house and there was sugar everywhere. There was dog food thrown freehand. Like the house was a disaster. The daughter had colored her hair in these beautiful brand new tubs, and the tubs were purple from the hair dye. And I remember I was talking to the person who'd introduced me to them. And I was like, so what happened here? I'm like, the house is beautiful. And they're like, oh yeah, one of their kids burnt the house down and this is the rebuild. And I'm like, okay, so how long has it been like this? They're like 8 months, and the house was a train wreck. And probably the worst I've ever seen. The worst. I'm not even telling you. I'm telling you like a quarter of what was in that house. A lot of crazy stuff. But I literally just called everybody that I work with, and I'm like, I need you, doing dump runs. I need you doing charity runs. I need the tree to be cut down. And they're calling me and they're like, it's like a 30-year-old tree. A whole bunch of stuff to be done. But honestly, it was just a testament to having professionals, because the client was abroad and they had no clue what we were doing, but we got their stuff to storage. We got their stuff out of there. We had 2 cars that had to be hauled out of there. The tree got taken down. Bathrooms got restored. The house in the end looked like a show home. It looked incredible. Wow. And nobody would have known. And I think we did it at the time in something like 10 days. And I remember I look back at a video a few months ago and I was like, oh my gosh, how we were able to do that in 10 days with vehicles that had no car keys, that had to be towed. And then God. Everything to storage. And the client's like, oh, we've got medical files for my medical practice that are sitting in that thing. And I'm like, oh my God, there's like 600 boxes in those storage units. But yeah, I think it's that stuff. Like we really do very well on the tough, gritty work that other agents might walk away from or might not know how to clean up.
Yeah. So it sounds like, a combination between, just your fortitude and your commitment to getting the best results is really what drives your process, Jacquie.
Yeah. And I think speed, right? For me, I'm a salesperson. I value a salesperson who is efficient. I love people who can come to me and get the job done and get it done quickly and with a plan. So for me, it's all about, and which is one of my slides in my presentation, is the schedule at a glance, is making sure that we chart everything down and we follow that map and get the job done. Yeah.
So having a plan is really part and parcel with, the successful formula of Jacquie Othen. And Jacquie, with that, I want to say thank you so much for sharing your wonderful insights and experience. It's always fun to see you and get to spend time together. So thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule up there in Toronto, and look forward to seeing you soon.
See you soon. Thanks, Josh.